Are Ukrainian immigrants invading Europe? Is Ukraine's new language law a violation of the Constitution and European agreements? Welcome to StopFake, the place where we set the record straight on fakes about Ukraine. I'm Marko Suprun, so let's get to it. One of the enduring fake narratives from the Kremlin focuses on immigration. More specifically, articles and other media products are produced to exacerbate social tensions, blaming immigrants for crime and stealing jobs. Taken together, Russian media fakes can leave you with the impression that droves of Ukrainian immigrants are invading Europe and other countries like this. Back in June of 2018, RIA Novosti, Ukraina.ru, Argumenty Nedeli, Newsfront, and others were pushing a story that Ukrainians were the largest migrant workers in Israel. They claimed that Ukrainians were illegally infiltrating the country. The deputy mayor of Bat Yam, Irina Ganina, said that 45% of immigrants are from Ukraine. StopFake debunked this claim last year, citing the Jewish Virtual Library project that wrote as of April 2018, immigrants from Russia were leading with 27% and Ukraine was in second place at 25%. Similar data was provided by the Ministry of Aliyah that in 2017, 7,224 Russians emigrated to Israel and Ukraine was in second place again with 7,182 people. We looked at data all the way back to 2015 and the pattern was the same. It is true that the number of immigrants from Ukraine to Israel has increased. However, it is not 45% as noted by RIA Novosti, but only 25%. And Ukraine is only in second place after the Russian Federation in terms of the number of people willing to move permanently to Israel. Now, fast forward to this week, and the pro-Kremlin website Lenta.ru is recycling the same narrative that Ukrainian immigration poses a danger to European countries. They quote the leader of the Conservative People's Party of Estonia, Martin Helm, as saying that Estonians might become a minority in their own country because of the influx of migrants from Ukraine. His quote was even picked up by the Ukrainian website Европейska Pravda, where he said, quote, "We have 20,000 Ukrainians. This is immigration. If we do nothing, then as a nation we will find ourselves in the minority in our homeland within a few years." Now, it is true that Ukrainians are leading immigration numbers to Estonia, but it's important to understand what kind of numbers we're talking about. In October 2018, the website err.ee, a site that provides English language services for Estonian public broadcasting, referenced statistics from the Ministry of Internal Affairs of Estonia that 941 Ukrainians received a resident permit in Estonia. 941 Ukrainians. Political parties claiming that Estonia is home to tens of thousands of Ukrainian migrants are in for a surprise too, because according to the same Estonian Interior Ministry, that number is no more than 5,600 people per year. Finally, Statistics Estonia notes that, quote, almost half of the people who immigrated to Estonia were citizens of Russia, Ukraine, and Latvia, and that, quote, this does not allow us to conclude that Estonians will soon be the minority. In 2018, there were 23,310 Ukrainians living in Estonia, or about 1.7% of the country's population. Back in May 2013, Martin Helm gained notoriety when he said he wanted Estonians to remain white during a broadcast on Tallinn TV about immigration. It's worth noting that Martin Helm's position is only his and is not the official position of the Estonian government. Russian media this week were promoting the narrative that Ukraine's law on language is a violation of the Ukrainian constitution. On April 25, Ukraine's parliament adopted the law on language, and the Russian commentariat had a field day. The Russian disinformation site Ukraina.ru wrote that the new law also violates international treaties ratified by the Ukrainian parliament. And by violating these treaties, Ukraine's lawmakers twice defiled Ukraine's constitution. The president of the Russian Center for Systems Analysis, Rostislav Ishchenko, wrote that the law, quote, contradicts the special status of the Russian language and that it is also a violation of the regional and minority language charter ratified by Parliament. Language has been a go-to favorite fake for Russian disinformation and an issue they regularly manipulate. The effort of Russian fakes is to throw competing and contradictory narratives to create as much confusion around the law as possible, thereby exasperating international partners and policymakers around the world. By suggesting the law violates the special status of the Russian language, Ishchenko is setting up a fait accompli, that the Russian language was endowed with some sort of special legal status. He is most likely referring to a language language law enacted by Parliament in 2012 during the presidency of pro-Russian Viktor Yanukovych, aimed at expanding the use of regional languages. This law, which was pushed through despite great criticism and protest, allowed for Russian to be used alongside Ukrainian in certain regions of Ukraine. However, in 2018, Ukraine's constitutional court ruled this law unconstitutional because it was pushed through, violating a great many parliamentary procedural rules. And ultimately, there is no law in Ukraine and no constitutional clause that affords the Russian language special status. In fact, Article 10 of the Ukrainian Constitution grants a special status to the Ukrainian language, as it is the official state language. And Article 11 even guarantees the development and free functioning of minority languages and cultures, be it Greek, Roma, Hebrew, or Russian. Regarding Ishchenko's claim that the new language law is a violation of the Regional and Minority Language Charter, well, that's also a fake, and it stems from a favorite narrative of Russian disinformation that says Ukraine is limiting national minority rights. The European Charter says that signatory states are obliged to support national minority languages culturally and educationally. According to Mykola Knyzhitsky, head of the Parliamentary Committee on Culture and Faith, national minorities have the right to education, cultural initiatives, and publishing all in their native language. Quote, "No one is prohibiting minorities from hosting cultural events, having their own newspapers, TV programs in their own language. This is absolutely normal. The new law does not regulate personal communication or religious ceremonies." Knyzhitsky also emphasized that there is no criminal liability if certain articles of the law are violated, and if broken, the law only allows for a fine. In other words, breaking the language law is like paying a parking ticket. That's it for this week. You can find much more dissected disinformation on the StopFake website. Be vigilant, look out for fakes, and if you spot any disinformation about Ukraine, forward it to us for a truth autopsy. I'm Marko Suprun, and this is StopFake. Thanks for watching.